This module will summarize all of the micro stretches from the previous modules. These micro stretches are intended to nourish your overworked muscles with blood flow and nutrients. The first group of 8 exercises are intended to be done multiple times throughout the workday. Following those 8 are a group of optional micro stretches that will be good depending on the type of job that you work. And lastly, there will be a group of at-home self-care exercises that you can do on your own to help with general core stabilization, strength, and flexibility. A quick disclaimer. These are our best opinions on how to keep a healthy body healthy. If you have a current issue, consult a physical therapist for best advice. The first stretch, which was from the neck and arms section, is called a chin tuck. Recall that we had mentioned before to be an inch taller. Keep hassling yourself to be an inch taller throughout the workday. This will help to keep the muscles, ligaments, and joints stretched out that are involved in doing a chin tuck. You're going to attain a head tall position, bring your shoulders back, tuck your chin in, and do 5 to 10 repetitions while holding 3 seconds. This is a position of military attention in boot camp. The second neck stretch is called a scalene stretch. Your scalene muscles are muscles on the side of your neck that are important because multiple blood vessels and nerves travel through an opening in these muscles. The next stretch is called a pendulum. This is a stretch for your shoulder joint. You're going to completely relax and dangle your arm down towards the ground while holding onto a chair or table or something to maintain balance. You're going to then swing your arm around 10 times in a circle, about twice the size of a basketball. Then you'll switch directions and do 10 times the opposite direction. The next stretch is called a tennis elbow stretch. You may recall that tennis elbow is a tendonitis of your wrist extensor muscles that connect to the outside of your elbow. Tennis elbow happens very frequently in jobs that require a lot of gripping, typing, or use of tools with vibration. For this stretch, you're going to attain a palm down position with your arm. You're going to close your fist, put your elbow straight out in front of you, curl your wrist under, and hold for 10 seconds once you have attained a gentle stretch of the outside of your elbow. The second stretch is a golfer's elbow and carpal tunnel stretch. This is the opposite of the tennis elbow stretch shown before. You may recall that golfer's elbow happens because of a tendonitis of your wrist flexor muscles that connect to the inside part of your elbow. For this stretch, you're going to attain a palm up position with your elbow straight and stretch your hand back. You're going to hold this for 10 seconds. The first stretch from the low back micro stretches section is a standing back bend. A quick note first off, if you work a strictly standing job, this stretch may not be beneficial to you, and there will be a stretch further on in this presentation that will be better for your situation. To do this stretch, you're going to place your hands onto your hips. You're going to bend backwards, keeping your chin tucked, and hold for 3 seconds, doing 5 to 10 repetitions. This may help to reverse disc bulging and helps to draw fluid into the discs, which reverses the effects of forward bent posture. The next stretch is a hamstring stretch. The hamstring stretch is part of the low back section because your hamstring muscle attaches to a bone on your pelvis, which in turn connects to your low back. This makes it important for low back health. You want to hold this position as shown in the picture with your leg out straight and your hands behind your knee for 30 seconds. You can do this same stretch laying on your back, but sitting tends to be an easier position for most during a workday. As I mentioned previously, if you're working a standing job, the standing back bends may not be the best stretch for you. In that situation, this low back stretch called sitting forward flexion would be the best stretch for you. You're going to find a chair, spread your legs apart, and curl forward, bending down towards the floor as far as you can comfortably go. You're going to hold this position for 10 seconds and do 3 repetitions. Do not do this stretch if you work a sitting job. If you work a sitting job, the standing back bend stretch will be very important for you. Now on to the optional micro stretches. These are stretches that anyone can do as long as you don't have a current low back issue. If you do, as mentioned in the disclaimer, please seek out care from a physical therapist. These are additionally important for certain people that work certain jobs that I will mention in each slide which specific jobs they would be good for. This first one is a flank stretch. This will stretch the muscles out on the side of your torso. You're going to attain the position seen in this picture here with bent off to one side, your arm up overhead, and your other arm onto your hip. You're going to hold this for 10 seconds. This can be good for maintenance workers and EMS workers, or anyone that attains very odd positions and has to hold for various periods of time. The next optional micro stretch is a seated rotation stretch. Simply sit down in a chair, grab the back of the chair and twist your body towards one side until you feel a gentle stretch through your low back and mid back. Do this for 10 seconds on each side. This is especially good for forklift drivers or anyone that spends a lot of time twisting into one direction. The next optional micro stretch is a calf stretch. You're going to attain the position seen in the picture here with one leg forward and the stretching leg backwards with your foot flat on the ground. For this stretch, you're going to maintain a foot flat position on your back leg and bend forward into your front leg until you feel a stretch through the calf muscle on the right leg of the person in this picture. You're going to hold this for 30 seconds on each leg. This is good for jobs that are on cement floors, steel floors, or jobs with lots of vibration. This helps to prevent plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis, amongst various other foot and ankle issues. The next optional micro stretch is a piriformis stretch. Your piriformis muscle is a muscle of your buttock area that is also known as the rotator cuff of your hip. It's known as this because of its important function at controlling the movements of your hip into various rotation movements. For this stretch, you're going to place your ankle onto your knee. You're going to grab your knee and pull towards your opposite side shoulder. You're then going to twist towards the side of the knee that you have up in the air. You want to make sure that you do not do this stretch if you had had a hip replacement in the past. And finally, the After Work Self Low Back Care Program. So these are some basic exercises that are good for the general population as long as you don't have an existing low back problem. These very well may be okay for you if you have an existing problem, but it's best in those situations to get the advice from a physical therapist or other healthcare professional to ensure that these are the right stretches for you. The first stretch is a prone on elbow stretch. So you're just going to find a hard surface, lay down on your stomach, propped up onto your elbows, and hold for 1 to 2 minutes while relaxing. This is known as a cobra stretch in yoga. This is a very good stretch for the discs of your low back. The next two stretches are both laying on your back. The first one, you're going to grab your knee, pull up towards your chest, hold for 30 seconds, and do this on each leg. The second one is the other version of how to do a hamstring stretch that I showed earlier in this presentation. This one is done lying on your back. Hands go behind your knee, hip joint should be at 90 degrees approximately, and try to stretch your leg out as straight as it can go. This next one is a good core stabilization exercise. The first picture on the left is known as a bridge. Simply find a hard surface, bring your feet flat up onto the surface, and then lift your buttocks off the ground. You're going to hold this position for 3 seconds and do 10 to 15 repetitions. Once you've mastered this, the picture on the right is a progression. You get into the bridge position as seen on the left, and then you take one leg, kick it out straight, and then put it back down and march back and forth, doing this 10 to 15 times on each side. And finally, as the last exercise, we have a plank. A plank is the best core stabilization exercise that you can have. Simply attain the position seen here with only your forearms and your toes touching the surface, and hold for as long as you can, and do this 3 repetitions. Thank you for tuning in to these modules. Please see the attached PDFs with additional information for you to check out. Included in this are all the micro stretches compiled together in a PDF format, and Ageless, an ebook written by Dr. Lauren Hebert, who you'd heard from throughout this slideshow, on ways to prevent aging changes, mostly specific to work. Make sure that you've completed all of the quizzes at the end of each module and that you've received your certification when you're done with this to show that you have completed this training.